beloved, chosen one, the heavens themselves were silent the moment you made your choice. You may not have realized it, but eternity held its breath as you stood at that crossroads, facing the weight of the decision before you. It was a moment so profound that even the angels, those celestial beings who have seen the rise of light and the fall of Lucifer, were stunned by the courage you displayed. They who have witnessed the birth of stars and the endless unfolding of time now turn their gaze upon you, their eyes wide with awe. You, in that singular moment, disrupted heaven's eternal rhythm. Angels who had been present since the dawn of creation, who had never faltered in their understanding of purpose, stood still, transfixed by the power of your choice. They saw you trembling, yes, but they also saw the unwavering determination in your eyes. You did not bow to fear. You did not yield to doubt. You stood firm with a quiet resolve as you chose obedience over rebellion, faith over reason, and trust over fear. In that moment, a shift occurred, and even the angels couldn't help but marvel. Your decision was not just witnessed, it was celebrated by heaven, a choice that echoed through the realms. The crossroads you stood at, though unseen by the world, held a cosmic significance. While others may not have known the depth of your struggle, heaven was keenly aware of the weight you carried. It was as if the universe paused to take notice as the angelic hosts leaned in, watching, waiting for the unfolding of this divine moment. This choice, this moment of surrender, was no small act. You chose faith when everything around you told you it was impossible. You chose to stand firm when every ounce of your being screamed for surrender. The heavens were not indifferent to your struggle. They were in awe because they knew what your decision meant. They saw in you a warrior who was not defeated by the weight of their own pain, but who instead allowed that very pain to become the fuel for their obedience. Your choice became a declaration, a sacred moment that rippled through eternity. You were not simply making a decision, you were rewriting the story of your life and activating a divine narrative that had been written for you long before the world even began. In that sacred silence, heaven leaned closer. This was not a moment of chance. The angels who have seen kingdoms rise and fall, who have witnessed the tides of time shift, were now witnessing something rare and precious. Your obedience in the face of adversity was not just a small act of faith, it was a divine disruption. The angels turned their attention away from the throne itself to watch you. They saw the choice you made, and in their eternal wisdom, they understood that this was not just a fleeting moment, it was a shift in the heavens. Heaven doesn't pause for everyone. The divine order moves in unshakable rhythm, but you chosen one, you interrupted it with your unwavering yes. That was no small feat. That act of obedience, whispered in the quiet of your heart, became a cosmic declaration. Heaven didn't just witness your choice, they celebrated it, marking it as one of the most sacred moments in time. What you didn't know, what you couldn't have seen, is that your decision didn't just change your life, it sent shockwaves through the spiritual realms. The angels who had been watching for eons stood in awe because in that moment, you chose to trust in God's plan when every voice around you told you to give up. You chose to believe when all logic seemed to suggest otherwise. You chose obedience when rebellion felt like the easier path. And that choice, though small in the world's eyes, was monumental in the eyes of heaven. It was the kind of choice that reverberated through the corridors of eternity, shifting not just your future, but the course of divine destiny itself. You may have felt alone, perhaps even forgotten at times, but know this: heaven has always been watching, waiting for you to make that sacred choice. And when you did, heaven erupted in silent celebration. The angels saw you the world may not have, but heaven's gaze was fixed on you. This moment, this act of obedience is why heaven is still watching. It's why they're still in awe of you. You didn't just make a decision, you activated a prophecy, one written before time began. And now, because of that moment, your journey is unfolding in ways even you haven't yet imagined. At the exact moment you made your decision, chosen one, heaven paused. It was as if time itself held its breath, waiting to see the weight of your choice. The silence was profound, not because of absence, but because the moment was so sacred that even the very angels who had witnessed the unfolding of creation and the fall of Lucifer stopped in awe. Heaven was no longer simply moving with the divine rhythm. It was waiting, watching, and leaning in to witness what you were about to do. This wasn't a mere decision in the realm of time. It was a divine declaration that rippled through eternity. The angels who had seen countless beings choose their paths felt a shift in the atmosphere. The weight of your choice was felt in realms that are beyond comprehension. Heaven does not pause for every decision, but for the chosen, for those who dare to stand when everything seems to demand they fall. Heaven stops and watches. This moment, your choice became the spark that ignited a divine movement, one that would echo through eternity and never fade. You didn't just make a choice, you made a statement. Your yes was not merely a personal decision. It was a declaration that reverberated in the halls of heaven and shook the very foundation of the spiritual world. What you didn't know in that instant was that your obedience, quiet, unassuming, yet powerful, would mark a turning point not just in your life, but in the larger divine plan. The moment of your surrender became the moment heaven itself leaned closer, as if eager to see the outcome of what they already knew was a choice that would bring about incredible transformation. Choosing obedience over rebellion in the face of overwhelming challenges takes more courage than many will ever comprehend. And yet, chosen one, that's exactly what you did. While others may have found it easy to rebel, to give in to the temptation of comfort or logic, you chose a path that was marked by faith. You chose the road less traveled, the road that often feels like it leads into the wilderness. Faith, when it doesn't make sense, is a powerful thing. Faith, when it seems to contradict everything your mind tells you, becomes the defining characteristic of those who are destined for greatness. You didn't choose obedience because it was easy. You didn't choose faith because it felt secure. You chose these things because deep down you understood that there was something far greater than logic or comfort. In that moment, you recognized the voice of God, and despite every voice around you telling you to choose a different path, you chose His. This decision wasn't born of an absence of fear, but rather in the face of it. Your courage was not a lack of trembling, but the ability to stand despite it. Faith, when it is tested, shows its true strength. It was not the absence of hardship that made your choice powerful, but the willingness to choose obedience despite the weight of the challenge. When the world would have told you to bow to doubt, to surrender to the pain, you said no. You stood tall in the face of it, not because you had all the answers, but because you trusted in something bigger than yourself. Your obedience was not born from perfection, but from a willingness to trust in a God whose plan was far greater than any obstacle in your way. Your decision to trust God, to choose obedience even when it seemed like logic itself was screaming against, it was the very thing that marked you as the chosen one. Your decision was not just an act of compliance. It was an act of divine courage, a decision to rise above the circumstances and place your faith in the hands of the Almighty, even when the future seemed uncertain. This moment wasn't just seen by heaven. No chosen one, it was deeply witnessed by the divine, and it reverberated through the spiritual realm. Every angel, every being of light turned their gaze upon you in that moment. They who had seen the beginning of creation, who had watched the first stars be born and witnessed the great rebellion in the heavens, now stood silent, witnessing your act of obedience. The angels who had been trained in the divine rhythms of the universe, who had watched the unfolding of destiny since before time began, now saw something rare. They saw you, a mortal, choosing obedience over rebellion. The divine hosts who had watched the rise and fall of civilizations, who had seen countless battles fought and won, now saw a new kind of victory, the victory of the heart that chooses to surrender. Your act of obedience wasn't just seen, it was recorded. The heavens took note, for what you did was something so rare that even the angels marveled. They were witnesses to the unfolding of a greater plan. Your choice was not a fleeting moment of personal courage, it was a turning point in the spirit realm. Angels who had watched over kingdoms, who had protected prophets and warriors, now stood in awe because of your simple act of faith. What they witnessed was something profound, a human clothed in frailty, choosing to trust God's plan when the world around them screamed in defiance. The angels watched not in silence, but with reverence as your decision shifted not just your life, but the very course of divine history. Your choice was recorded in heaven's archives. It became a part of the eternal story, a testimony of what it means to trust God in the midst of uncertainty, to stand firm when everything seems to be falling apart. What you did in that moment was not just for you, it was for the world, for generations to come. Your obedience became a beacon of hope, a light in the darkness, and a testimony that heaven still moves in the hearts of those who choose to trust in God's divine plan. In the grand scheme of the universe, what you did may have seemed small to the world, but in the eyes of heaven, it was a cosmic shift. You chose obedience when rebellion was easier. You chose faith when logic screamed impossible, and you chose to stand when the world demanded surrender. Your act of obedience became a declaration that heaven itself could not ignore. The angels, who are accustomed to the vastness of the cosmos, the unshakable order of the universe, now saw something they had never truly seen before: a human being empowered by faith, choosing God over everything else. Your act was a holy interruption, a disruption in the heavens, a declaration that the divine order would not go unchallenged. Heaven leaned closer, and in the silence that followed, something miraculous occurred. You were not just seen, you were witnessed, and the weight of that moment will echo through the corridors of eternity. It is a moment that will not fade, a choice that will forever be remembered, not just by heaven, but by the angels who stood in awe of what you did. Your obedience has become the testimony of a generation that will rise because of your faith, your courage, and your trust in God. It was more than a choice. It was the declaration of your divine purpose, and it was the moment heaven knew that you, the chosen one, had chosen to stand firm. That moment of surrender was not just personal, it was a cosmic declaration that rippled through the unseen realms, altering the course of destiny forever. As you stood firm in your decision, chosen one, something profound began to unfold. The choice you made was not just a single step forward, it was a divine unlocking, a revelation of your true identity. In that moment of obedience, heaven itself began to reveal to you who you truly are, not just in the context of your struggles, but in the fullness of your divine purpose. You were no longer just a soul walking through life, navigating the obstacles before you. With that one act of surrender, the veil was lifted, and you saw yourself not as you had known yourself to be, but as heaven had always seen you. You saw yourself through the eyes of eternity, marked, chosen, and set apart for something much greater than you could have imagined. Heaven had been waiting for this moment, waiting for you to step into the fullness of your divine identity. It had been written before you even took your first breath that you were meant for this moment. The trials you had faced, the struggles, the pain, all of it had been shaping you, preparing you for the unveiling of this greater truth. You are not just anyone. You are a vessel of divine purpose, a living reflection of God's glory on this earth. When you made that choice, heaven responded by revealing to you the depth of your calling. Your divine identity, once clouded by confusion, fear, and doubt, now stood in the light of clarity. You are more than what the world had defined you to be. You are the answer to a divine purpose that has been unfolding for generations. Your obedience opened the door for this truth to flood your soul. And as you embraced it, you began to see yourself through the lens of your eternal significance. Heaven had positioned you for a higher purpose long before you were born, but it was in that moment of obedience that you fully stepped into the role you were always meant to play. You were no longer defined by your failures or your past. You were defined by your willingness to trust in a higher calling. And in that trust, you found the true essence of who you were meant to be. But this revelation did not come easily. Before you could step into the fullness of your divine identity, you had to walk through a refining process that was as necessary as it was painful. The trials you faced were not random or arbitrary. They were the deliberate steps of a divine process that was shaping you, molding you, and preparing you for the greatness that was ahead. Every struggle, every hardship, every heartbreak, and every moment of confusion were pieces of the puzzle that God was assembling to reveal His perfect plan for you. In the moments when you thought you were at your lowest, when the weight of your circumstances threatened to crush you, heaven was using those very trials to transform you. You were not being punished. You were being prepared. The pressure you felt, the opposition you faced, the betrayal, and the losses, all of it was shaping you into the person you needed to be to carry the weight of the calling that God had placed upon your life. The road was not easy, but it was necessary. You were being refined like gold in the fire, burned and reshaped until the impurities were removed, leaving only the purest version of yourself. It was in the darkest moments when you could barely see the light that God was doing His deepest work in you. Every tear you shed became the water that nourished your soul. Every broken piece became part of your divine puzzle, and every storm you weathered was a test that built your endurance and spiritual strength. The challenges you faced were not meant to break you. They were meant to build you, to prepare you for the divine purpose that awaited you. Each obstacle was a divine tool carefully selected by heaven to equip you for the moment of transformation that was about to unfold. Through it all, you were being shaped into the person who could carry the weight of glory, who could stand firm in the face of trials, and who could walk boldly into the destiny that had been waiting for you. You emerged from those trials not as a victim, but as a warrior stronger and more determined than ever to fulfill the purpose that had been written for you before time began. As heaven witnessed your obedience, something remarkable began to shift. The angels who had once observed in silence now began to move in response to your faith and obedience. Their once passive presence became active as they rallied on your behalf, preparing the way for divine breakthroughs and blessings to flood into your life. The moment you chose to trust in God's plan, the heavenly realm went into action, aligning the universe in your favor. Heaven had always been on your side, but in that moment, your obedience acted as a catalyst that set the angels into motion. They began to work on your behalf, clearing paths, opening doors, and aligning opportunities that would lead you to the fulfillment of your divine purpose. What had once felt like delay was now revealed to be divine timing. The angels who had watched your struggles in silence now moved with divine purpose, working tirelessly behind the scenes to make way for the manifestation of God's promises in your life. They were no longer just passive observers. They were your active partners in the divine orchestration of your life story. They prepared the way for your breakthroughs, clearing obstacles, silencing accusations, and guiding you toward the divine appointments that were waiting for you. Heaven's approval was no longer a distant concept. It was tangible, visible, and actively at work in your life. As you stood firm in your obedience, the heavens opened up, and the divine favor that had always been yours began to pour forth. The angels who had once waited patiently for you to make the decision now celebrated your choice, and they moved with the divine rhythm of your obedience to bring about the breakthroughs that had been written in the stars. Every act of obedience, every decision to trust, had opened the floodgates of heaven, and now the angels were working in tandem with God's will to bring the promises He had spoken over you into reality. The path you had been walking on suddenly became illuminated, and the obstacles that once seemed insurmountable now appeared to be mere stepping stones toward your divine destiny. You were no longer walking in darkness. You were walking in the light of heaven's favor, and the angels were guiding every step, ensuring that nothing would stand in the way of your divine purpose. Heaven's approval was no longer just an abstract idea. It was a living, breathing force that moved with divine precision, guiding you toward the manifestation of everything you had hoped and prayed for. The angels were now active participants in your journey, and their presence in your life became a constant reminder that you were not walking alone. You were walking in the favor of heaven, and every step you took was aligned with the divine will of God. The path you have walked, chosen one, was not one of ease, but of struggle and surrender. There were moments, perhaps more than you care to count, when doubt crept into your heart like a shadow threatening to overwhelm you. There were nights when the weight of your circumstances seemed unbearable, and the promise you once held on to felt like a distant dream. In those moments, you may have questioned whether you were truly chosen or whether all that you had endured was in vain. You fought battles that no one else could see, faced trials that shook you to your very core, and felt alone in your pain. But in each of those struggles, you were being shaped and refined for something far greater. The doubts you faced were not a sign of weakness. They were a sign of the depth of your faith. For faith is not proven in times of comfort, but in the crucible of trial. You surrendered in those moments, not because it was easy, but because you knew that in your surrender you were being elevated. Every time you felt like giving up, you chose to press forward. Every time you stumbled, you chose to rise again. And with every step you took in faith, you were being prepared for something greater. The struggles you faced were not meant to destroy you. They were meant to refine you, to make you into the person who could carry the weight of divine purpose. In every tear and every moment of weakness, you were growing spiritually. You were being tested not to break you, but to build you. And through it all, you remained steadfast, not because it was easy, but because you trusted in God's plan, even when you couldn't see the way forward. Your struggles were never in vain. They were part of the process that led to your elevation. In the depths of your pain, you were being prepared for a purpose that was far beyond your understanding. And though it may have been difficult to see in the moment, you were being shaped into the person you needed to be to fulfill that purpose. Every trial, every hardship, every moment of doubt was contributing to your spiritual growth, and in the end, it would be the foundation upon which your divine elevation was built. As you look back on your journey, it becomes clear that the seasons of struggle and surrender were not just trials to be endured. They were seasons of divine preparation, each one leading you to a moment of transformation. The old season you once walked through no longer fits you, chosen one. You have outgrown it. The person you once were is no longer the person you are becoming. The trials you faced were not just challenges. They were the divine reordering of your life, setting the stage for the new chapter that God is now unfolding for you. What once felt like obstacles are now stepping stones guiding you toward the divine purpose that is waiting for you. God's timing is perfect, and in His perfect timing, He has orchestrated every detail of your life, bringing you to this moment of transition. You are no longer the person who struggled to survive. You are becoming the person who is called to thrive, to lead, and to fulfill the divine mandate that has been placed upon your life. The shifting seasons you have experienced were not random. They were part of a divine reordering, preparing you for the elevation that is now at hand. The old season may have been filled with pain, uncertainty, and struggle, but it was necessary. It was in that season that you were refined, that you learned to trust God in the darkest of times, and that you developed the resilience and strength you now carry. As you step into this new chapter, you will find that the challenges of the past no longer hold the same weight. The trials you once faced will seem small in comparison to the divine purpose that is now unfolding before you. You have been repositioned, realigned, and made ready for what is to come. God has been working behind the scenes, orchestrating the timing of your life, and now you are stepping into a new season, one where divine favor will flow freely and the blessings that have been prepared for you are about to be released. This new season is not a season of struggle, but of abundance. It is a season of elevation where you will see the fruit of your obedience and surrender begin to manifest in ways you never thought possible. The old season may have been difficult, but it was necessary to bring you to this place of divine reordering. Now, as you step into the new chapter, you will see the fullness of God's plan unfold before your eyes. Your endurance has not only impacted your life, chosen one, but it is part of a greater divine legacy. Every step you have taken in faith, every moment you have chosen to endure has been a testimony to the power of God's grace. You have carried the weight of your calling with strength and courage, and in doing so, you have become a living example of what it means to trust God through the fire. Your story is not just about you, it is about the legacy you are building for those who will come after you. The trials you faced, the battles you fought, and the victories you won are not just for your own benefit. They are part of the greater story that God is telling through your life. Your obedience has become a beacon of hope for others, a light that will guide those who come behind you on their own journeys of faith. The endurance you have shown in the face of adversity is a testimony to the power of God's faithfulness. As you stand in the new season, you will see how your endurance has become a foundation for the generations that will follow. Your choices have ripple effects, and the seeds you have planted through your faith and obedience will bear fruit, not just in your own life, but in the lives of those around you and in the generations to come. Your legacy is one of perseverance, of unwavering faith, and of a commitment to God's will no matter the cost. You have set an example for others to follow, showing them that through God's strength, they too can endure. Your journey is a testimony of divine resilience, and as you step into this new season, you will see how your endurance has not only shaped your own life, but has paved the way for others to walk in the light of your example. What you have endured has not only been for your own spiritual growth, but it has also been for the purpose of building a legacy of faith that will inspire others to press on, to endure, and to fulfill the divine calling upon their lives. Your endurance has been a gift not just to you, but to the generations that will come after you. Your life will serve as a beacon of hope, a reminder that no matter the trials, no matter the darkness, God's faithfulness will always see us through. Your legacy is one of divine purpose, and the impact of your obedience will echo through eternity. Chosen one, you were marked for greatness long before you took your first breath. The blueprint of your life was carefully crafted in the halls of heaven, and even before you existed in the flesh, your divine purpose was already written. Every moment, every struggle, and every triumph has led you to this pivotal point, the moment when you chose to trust in God, and that trust has activated the purpose He designed for you. What you may not have realized is that your decision to trust in His plan was the key that unlocked the doors of your destiny. The path you are walking now is no accident. It has been prepared for you from before time began. Your divine purpose is not something that came about by chance. It has always been part of a grand and beautiful plan that God, in His infinite wisdom, laid out for you. The struggles you've faced, the choices you've made have all been shaping you into the person who can carry this purpose. And now, as you stand at the threshold of your destiny, you can be assured that this moment is not the end, but the beginning of something far greater. You are stepping into the fullness of the divine calling that was placed on your life before the foundation of the earth. This is not just your story. It is a part of a much larger divine narrative that has been unfolding across generations. You, chosen one, are a key player in the will of God, and your life is a testament to the power of His plan and timing. As you continue to walk this path, remember that it was never about your perfection, but about your willingness to trust, obey, and surrender to the call that has always been upon your life. You were created for such a time as this, and now is the moment when your destiny begins to unfold in ways you never imagined. Heaven is not distant or uninvolved in your journey. The angels who watched in awe at the moment of your obedience continue to move in your favor, working behind the scenes to orchestrate every detail of your life. They are not passive observers, but active participants in the divine unfolding of your story. They are clearing paths, removing obstacles, and aligning opportunities that will guide you toward the fulfillment of your purpose. Every step you take is being guided by the hands of heaven, and you are never alone on this journey. The angels who witnessed your declaration of faith are now working tirelessly to ensure that you walk in alignment with the divine will of God. Their presence is a constant reminder that heaven is actively involved in your life, leading you, protecting you, and ensuring that you are positioned for the breakthroughs and blessings that are coming your way. Heaven is watching over you, and the angels are working to bring about the divine orchestration that will align every aspect of your life with the purpose that has been written for you. You are not walking this path by your own strength, but by the power of heaven that is moving in your favor. Trust that even when you can't see it, the angels are moving, working, and preparing the way for your divine elevation. You are surrounded by a heavenly army that is protecting you and guiding you toward the fulfillment of your purpose. Now, chosen one, it's time for you to step boldly into your divine calling. You have been called for such a time as this, and it is no longer a time to hold back or to doubt your purpose. The journey that lies ahead of you is filled with purpose, power, and potential, and it is time for you to embrace it fully. Heaven has equipped you for this moment. You have been prepared through trials, tested through struggles, and shaped through surrender to step into the fullness of your calling. The time to step forward with confidence is now. Your obedience has already set the wheels of divine purpose in motion, and now it is your turn to walk in that purpose with boldness and conviction. Do not be afraid to move forward. Trust that God's timing is perfect, and that every step you take is leading you closer to the fulfillment of His plan. You are not just walking toward your destiny, you are walking in alignment with the will of God, and there is no greater security than that. As you step into your divine calling, remember that you are part of a greater story, a story that spans generations and is unfolding before your eyes. You are a living testimony to the power of obedience, and your life will continue to impact others in ways you may never fully understand. The world may not recognize the weight of the calling upon your life, but heaven does, and heaven is cheering you on every step of the way. Your journey is just beginning, chosen one, and heaven is still watching in awe as you continue to fulfill your purpose. What you have accomplished so far is only the beginning of what God has in store for you. Every step you take from here will be filled with divine purpose and revelation, and with each step, you will continue to grow into the fullness of who you were created to be. Know that heaven is not silent in your journey. It is ever present, guiding you, protecting you, and cheering you on as you walk in obedience to the divine call upon your life. You are not alone in this. Heaven is actively involved in every detail, and the angels are working on your behalf to ensure that you walk in the fullness of your purpose. The trials you have faced, the struggles you have overcome, are just the beginning of a much greater story that is being written in the heavens. Your journey is not one of striving, but of surrender. You are walking in divine alignment, and with each step, you are becoming more and more who God always intended you to be. As you continue to walk forward, know that the very same God who called you is walking beside you, guiding you, and ensuring that you fulfill the purpose He has ordained for you. Your journey is not one of mere survival, it is one of divine significance. Heaven is watching, and heaven is rejoicing in the steps you are taking toward the fulfillment of your divine destiny. The best is yet to come, and your story is far from over. Keep walking, chosen one. Your purpose is unfolding, and heaven is with you every step of the way.